shop and trying to come up with an idea for something a little different. And I kind of do a good bit of casting. If anybody's kind of familiar with my channel, I do a lot of bottle stoppers and pins and things like that with resins that I cast. And but I was kind of surfing through YouTube the other day, and I found a video that I've seen quite a while back, and it was on Brendan Stemp's channel. Now, if you're not familiar with Brendan Stemp, he's a wood turner from Australia, and he's got some fantastic videos. I would, anybody interested in wood turning and casting resins and things like that, he's a pretty good resource if you would like to check him out. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. But anyway, he cast a bowl, and I thought that thing just looked so fantastic when he got done. I was like, man, I sure want to try that. Well, I do have some experience casting. I've done a little bit here and there, and so I thought, okay, I'm going to do it. I've got a lot of shavings left over from a previous video that I did, an elm bowl, a large elm bowl I did a couple weeks ago, and I had all those shavings, and I really didn't want to throw them away, so I decided to cast some of those into a bowl. Well, anyway, the resin that I'm going to use, it's called Silmar 41, and it's from Composite Envisions, and I've really got to the point where I like this better than everything else that I've used to cast with. It cures quickly, and it cures crystal clear, and when it's cured, it's not brittle. Some blanks, like if you buy pen blanks online, sometimes when you get them and you start turning, they're brittle. Or if you drop them, if you make a bottle stopper out of them and you drop them, they may chip or break. So, but I found this stuff. It turns really well, and until I find something better, I'm going to continue using this because I really like the way it casts and cures up. Plus, the viscosity is pretty. It's pretty thin. It's thinner than the other stuff that I was using. It's not any good for bar tops or like a finish coat or something like that. Now, the Alumilite or some of your marine grade gel coats, things like that's what you would want to use as like a finish coat to get a real super high gloss on something. But this stuff is not very good for that. When it's put in there real thin like that, it takes forever for it to cure, days. But when you cast it, and it can kind of concentrate the heat that it's generating, it works really good, and it sets up really fast, and then it cures really fast. So, but anyway, I just thought I'd show you this stuff and take you on the adventure of me casting my first bowl and then turning it. This is actually going to be a two-part video. The first part is going to be casting, and then the second part is going to be turning. So I haven't turned the bowl yet. I actually do have it cast now, and it really turned out fantastic. You'll see it in just a minute, but I haven't turned it yet, so this thing may get destroyed. I don't know. We'll see. I know it's heavy. But anyway, with that, let's get started, and let's get this thing cast. Well, these are some of the items that you're going to need. I bought these bowls here at Walmart, really cheap. It's 4 nested bowls, which means that if they work, I can get 3 different size castings out of it. So I thought it was a pretty good deal. They were really cheap. I can't remember exactly what they cost, around $10. But we got that, and then we go to our composite Envisions Silmar 41, and I'll leave a link to where you can buy this if you'd like to. And we have the catalyst, which is I believe it's MEK or MEKP or something, some MEK thing. Need something to mix it in, and I use that plastic cup. Just don't leave any in there, it'll leak through it over time. A set of scales to measure it out, and these are the shavings from, well, these are some of the shavings from that elm bowl I did, and that's what I'm going to cast inside the resin. And of course your safety glasses, don't forget them. Alright, I'm going to start out, I'm just going to put a wax coating on this. I believe this plastic's HDPE and it shouldn't stick to the resin, but I'm going to wax it just in case, and it's just a coating of my wood finish wax. I'll do the inside of this bowl, and I did the outside of the other bowl, and should be ready. I'll put a layer in here about 3/4 or an inch thick to set the bowl, the nested bowl, up, you know, off the bottom. I'm going to be turning the recess in this thing, so let's start out by pouring about 10 ounces. Okay, so we're going to pour 10 ounces, and this is just going to be going in the bottom, and I'm just going to pour it in before I actually set the nested bowl in. That's 9.95, that's close enough to 10. So at 10 drops per ounce, this is going to take about 100 drops. So I'm sitting here counting out 100 drops. But then I also used Alumilite dyes, and I used yellow is the color dye that I used. I used 8 drops for 10 ounces, which gives me a really light yellow looking color, like an amber. And and also I used gold Pearlex powders. That's what I'm going to get now. It's gold Pearlex powder. Just a little, just a touch. You don't want to overdo it with that stuff. Okay, now we'll just mix it all together real good. And this is at 2 times speed. I can't really stir that fast. So yeah, this is 2 times speed here. So we'll mix it up real good. Make sure you get around all the edges and the sides and the bottom. And I rotate the cup as I'm stirring, just to make sure, you know, that I'm hitting all the spots. Okay, and just continue to do. If this stuff is not mixed thoroughly, you will get soft spots. So make sure you mix it thoroughly. I'm just going to start by pouring it very slow. I learned this from Brendan Stemp. If you pour it really slow, air bubbles have a chance to kind of pop and get gone. And there's 10 ounces, and I ended up pouring a little bit more in there. But you can use I just used a plastic knife to kind of pack the shavings down into the resin a little bit, and then I'll get ready to set my nested bowl in there. Okay, I want it to be about an inch off the bottom, and then about the exact same amount all the way around all the sides. That's pretty critical, because when I put it on the lathe, it'll be way out of balance if I don't have this thing centered pretty good. And then I'm just going to start cramming in my cramming in all my, maybe I wasn't quite deep enough. Okay, there we go. Alright, then I just start cramming them in, cramming in those shavings in around all the sides, and they're so curly and dry that they're kind of hard to get in there. But you know, you just work on it and pack them in there as best you can. And until you get the density that you want. You can pack them really tight. I packed these not tight but not loose either. They were kind of you know, I have little spaces in there where the resin's going to be and stuff like that. But I believe this yellow resin against that dark brown wood is going to look good. At least I'm hoping it does. It looks good on bottle stoppers, so I'm hoping it'll look good on this bowl too. Now once I get all that in there, I'm going to put masking tape around it just to hold the bowl in place while I pour the rest of the resin. And found out that really didn't work very well because I had wax inside that. I had wax on parts of these bowls and things like that. Plus it's HDPE and masking tape really doesn't stick well to it. Duct tape would have probably been a better idea. So here I am. I'm mixing up 10 more ounces. 10 more ounces of resin, and I'll color it exactly the same. I'll use 8 drops of the Alumilite yellow dye, and I'll use just a very little amount of the Pearl-Ex powders. I actually ended up setting a paint bucket down inside that bowl to hold it in place once the bottom started setting up. So once it started setting up, I set the paint bucket in there, and it held that bowl down real good. I don't know if the bowl would try to float, but I'm pretty sure it would. So you have to weight it down or tape it down or something. But actually, you know, the tape held pretty good until the last layer. Now I'm just going to start pouring it in here. I'll pour about half of it, and then I'll move around to the other side and pour it in on the other side. This stuff leveled out really well, though. I could have probably poured it all in on one side because it really did level out really good. I think you can see it inside the bowl right now. It flowed really well. This stuff has a really good viscosity. Now I'm getting ready for my final pour, and this is actually my 8th cup that I've mixed up 10 ounces at a time. So this is about 80 ounces that I've poured in here. And it ended up a little thicker than I thought. I was expecting about 3/4 of an inch, but it actually ended up about an inch thick, the wall thickness. So that explains why it used so much resin and why it's so heavy. But hopefully it won't be too bad after I get it turned. Okay, just checking to make sure everything's level. Those bowls actually have lines all the way around, so it's really easy to make sure everything's level. Okay, now it's actually set now. It's already set. It's not cured, but it's set, and you can see how it's starting to how it's really level all the way around, and the bowls are about the exact same distance apart. So this should be a fairly consistent bowl, hopefully, because it's really heavy and I kind of worry about it being in my long work chuck. Alright, this is actually 48 hours later because I had to work the next day, but take out the paint bucket and the bowls just snapped right apart. I mean, and they're clean on the outside. This one gave me a little bit more trouble, but really not much. Once I turned the bowl upside down, it basically fell right out. Just like so. Alright, and that's pretty much my roughing. All that's left now is to really, you know, get it on the lathe, get it in a long work chuck, and get me a recess on the bottom and get this thing turned, finished and polished. Well, alright then. That concludes part 1 of this video. There's my bowl. It's a little bit thicker than what I thought it would be with the little nested plastic bowls, but you saw how easy it came apart. It just popped right out of there. I don't know if I actually needed to wax the insides or not, but it did release really easy, so I can reuse those bowls again if I want to try it again. But this joker is heavy. Let's see. Let me throw it on the scales here right quick and see how heavy it is. Okay, hold on, unit 6. I can't read that. Let's see. Okay, those are ounces. All right, 6 pounds and 7 ounces is how much this weighs. But that's really heavy. Of course, you know, now with it being an inch thick, and it is very consistent all the way around, for the most part. It's not really thicker anywhere than it is anywhere else. So that'll give me a little bit of room for shaping and things like that. But next video, I'm going to get this thing in the Longworth chuck and turn me a recess on the bottom and see if I can't get this thing turned and finished up really nice. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to look good. You can see, let me see if I can actually show you here. You can see all of the shavings and things like that inside there, you know. So, you know, maybe it'll be a nice bowl. But I hope you enjoyed this project, and I'll have part 2 up very soon.